keynote lecture by Radhanath Swami. On behalf of Artha Forum, it's a pleasure to invite you all over here, and we thank you for the same. This is the third anniversary of Artha Forum, and we have had 3 programs at the same place. So for that, I would like to thank Sushant as well as Namrata, who have kindly opened up their house as well as their hearts to allow a program like this. So whenever we plan a program, I think the first thing is Sushant has the first right to host the program. And when we approach him, he's always open, and Namrata so kindly agrees to host the program. A special thanks to His Grace Vaishashika Prabhu. He is not here today, who is the temple president at Mountain View, and the devotees who are connected with the local temple, who have really helped us in terms of organizing this event. I think without their tireless efforts, it would have been impossible for us to really manage. So they have been planning, and I would say right from morning they have been here in terms of trying to say that all the arrangements are working properly. So a very special thanks to Vaishashika Prabhu and all the people connected to the temple who have helped us in this. It's a great fortune to have both Radhanath Swami Maharaj as well as Marcy Shpimov to be present here. Radhanath Swami Maharaj would be the keynote speaker today, speaking on simple living, high thinking. And Marcy is our chief guest, and she would be making an introduction of Radhanath Maharaj, as well as speaking about, her experience and meeting with Maharaj. So I would like to give a brief introduction about Marcy. I think I was trying to go through the web, and there is so much of material about Marcy that it was becoming impossible to figure out what to take and not. So there are some brief things I have really taken from there, and you will see how impressive, the profile is. Marcy is the #1 New York Times best-selling author, a celebrated transformational leader, and one of nation's leading experts on happiness, success, and unconditional love. She is the author of runaway bestsellers, Love for No Reason and Happy for No Reason, which offer revolutionary approaches to experiencing deep and lasting love and happiness. These books have soared to the top of many national best-selling lists, including the New York Times, Amazon, Wall Street Journal, and have been translated in 31 languages. Marcy is one of the best-selling female non-fiction authors of all times. In addition, she is the host of national PBS television show called Happy for No Reason, and she is a featured teacher in an international film and book sensation called The Secret. She is the president and co-founder of the Esteem Group. She delivers keynote addresses and seminars on self-esteem, self-empowerment, and peak performance to corporations, professionals, and non-profit organizations. She's been a top-rated trainer for numerous Fortune 500 companies, including AT&T, GM, Sears, Kaiser, Bristol Myers. She has been on more than 500 national and regional television and radio shows and has been interviewed by over 100 newspapers worldwide. Marcy earned her MBA from UCLA and holds an advanced certificate on stress management. She is the founding member and on board of directors of the Transformational Leadership Council, a group of 100 top leaders serving over 10 million people in self-development. Through her books and her presentations, Marcy's message has touched the hearts and rekindled the spirit of millions of people throughout the world. She is dedicated to fulfilling her life's purpose of helping people live more empowered and joyful lives. So, this was just a small piece of information which I could pick up. So, request people to give a warm welcome to Marcy. Thank you very much for coming. I think it's our honor to meet you here. So in a short while, Marcy would be giving a small introduction about Radhanath Maharaj. The only thing I would tell about Radhanath Maharaj, because I think she's going to be speaking, is how Maharaj has also been transforming the lives and hearts of thousands and thousands of people whom he comes in touch with. And we have, recipients of that mercy in this particular forum also. So the program for today would be as follows. We would have a brief intro and talk by Marcy, followed by the keynote lecture by Radhanath Swami Maharaj. In case people have some question answers, we would have some brief session on question and answers. There would be, on the request of Sushant and Namrata, we would have a short 10-minute kirtan. After that, followed by dinner prasadam. So I just wanted to give a little bit of brief introduction about Artha Forum, which has helped in terms of organizing. And I have my friend and colleague, the founder of Artha Forum, Rajiv, with me over here. And Artha Forum is only about 3 years old, and it has come into existence because of, I think, our own personal experiences in terms of, doing business, and then in terms of, the profits which arise from the business, putting it for charity. And Rajiv thought that it was a very inspiring and fulfilling model, and why not take it to people across the globe? And that is how we had the first Artha conference in GEV, which is, I would say, the international center for the Artha conference in 2012. And after that, we have been having multiple conferences across the globe, and we have been adding newer and newer countries every year. So just this year, Maharaj had a wonderful event at Dubai. We had a good event in Bangalore. Singapore has become a regular location for this event besides Mumbai and so many other countries, UK. So more and more people, as they hear about this, they want to take it to their respective regions. And we also feel very inspired by the commitment of the local people who are inspired by this and want to present it to different people. So the purpose of Artha Forum, I would just like to read a few things, is we would like to connect entrepreneurs, business leaders, young professionals to bring them the relevance of Vedic wisdom in modern business. And when Maharaj is speaking, we will be able to see that we cannot really separate the two out. They can be integrated in a very holistic manner. To showcase business models based on Vedic teachings of trusteeship, I think, which is very important, and include giving back to society as an integral part of the business. So here we are talking about a concept of making charity as your partner in business, right? It's not a process where you think about charity, as a second thing, that, in case I do something, we will do some charity. Charity becomes part of the business. That the core of the business itself is charity. Emphasize to the next generation the importance of doing business with compassion and without greed or pride. So it's a very, very powerful way of really doing business. And we have seen and we have come across cases where people have come back and said that, this sort of a conscious which they have has really helped them in terms of conducting their business and doing it much better than they were doing it before. So the next Artha event, which is going to be a global event, just a brief announcement, we were going to be having at GEV, which is the Eco Village, which is also inspired by Radhanath Swami, and it showcases all sorts of traditional technologies, and the subject on which Maharaj is speaking today, simple living, high thinking, showcases it in its, I would say totality. So you will see organic farming, you will see cattle protection, you will see organic water purification, all sorts of technologies which people hear about but probably don't see. A few housekeeping announcements. Request everybody to, keep the mobile phone either switched off or on silent mode so that we don't disturb. And I think over here there are a couple of washrooms, so in case somebody needs to go to the washroom, just to inform them. So I now request Marcy to, take over and speak a little bit about it.
Thank you. Well, first, I just want to thank you for allowing me to be here, because I get to enjoy Radhanath Swami along with all of you. This is such an incredible treat. And I also want to thank you for Artha Forum, because I've spent the last 20 years researching happiness. My most recent work has been about how people can become happier. And one of the things that has been found is that giving, generosity, and altruism is actually one of the chief components of raising what's called your happiness set point. So while you're doing good for others, it's actually helping you. So a year and a half ago, was visiting India for my fifth visit to India. And I was in Rishikesh. How many of you here have ever been to Rishikesh? Okay, great, wow, a lot of you. For those of you who haven't been to Rishikesh, I highly recommend it. It's exquisite. And I was at the International Yoga Conference in Rishikesh, and I had just finished the conference, and I had missed a part of it, so I didn't see all of the speakers. And I was standing at the airport, getting ready to leave, and across the lobby of the airport was a Swami in an orange robe. Now that's not unusual in India. There's Swamis in orange robes everywhere throughout India. But there was a light coming out of him that was irresistible to me. And I noticed that he actually didn't look Indian. In fact, he looked pretty American to me, except for the orange robe. So I just sort of... Thank you. Beautiful. So I just ran directly towards him. And I'm sure he didn't know what hit him. But I just walked up to him. I'm glad I didn't know who he was then, because I was so bold that I just said, I'm going to start a conversation with this person and ask him who he is. And we started this conversation. And do you know the movie with the expression, he had me at hello? Radhanath Swami had me at hello. The minute he spoke, I just said, I don't know who he is, but I know he's got wisdom. And after a few minutes of talking, I discovered that in fact, he was from America. He was a nice Jewish boy raised in Chicago. I'm a nice Jewish girl raised in San Mateo, so I can say that. And he had, at a young age, traveled around the world and ended up in India, and I'll speak more about that in a few minutes. But what I was so struck by was how deep and profound the being was inside of him, and how it completely emanated. Now soon I discovered that this wasn't just this was some Swami. Soon I discovered who he really was, when all of the entourage came around him and handed me a book, and And I still was so touched by how very, very real and how very profound Radhanath Swami is. We got on the plane and continued to talk, and then I had to sit down, and I read the book that he'd given me, and I was fascinated and intrigued. If you have not seen The Journey Home, I highly recommend reading this book. It is captivating, interesting, and really enlivening and enlightening. And so I read as much as I could on the plane. It was a short flight from Rishikesh to Delhi. And I just said, I have to know more. So as we got off the plane, I gave him my card and I got his information and I said, are you ever coming to San Francisco? And he said, well, as it would happen, I'm coming to San Francisco in a few months. And I said, oh, please, I'd love to see you. May I host you? And he said, absolutely. Now, I've made that offer to many people many times, and I never hear from them. I think 2 days later, I heard from him and the people that he works with, and we made arrangements to have him come to my home. And so last year, right around this time, he came to my home in San Anselmo in Marin County, and we didn't have as many people as we have here this evening, and thank you for this exquisite home, amazing. But it was a true, beautiful, incredible gathering, and I know that that's what's in store for you. And I am going to read to you of his bio because I don't want to miss anything, but I mostly want to speak from my heart about my experience with Radhanath Swami. You know, it's been said that we live in very important and critical times, and I really do believe this, and very special times. And during these times, it's really important that we have the deep wisdom and tradition of the East and the progressive technological knowledge of the West be married. And this is what we're seeing. We're seeing a nice Jewish boy from Chicago who is completely embodying the Vedic wisdom, living and teaching in India and throughout the world. And then, of course, we're seeing many of the people from the East, many of you who I so honor, here in Silicon Valley. And this is the true meeting of the East and West. And I feel like there is just such an exquisite embodiment in Radhanath Swami of the East meeting the West. And there's a saying, the world is my family. And that's what I've felt whenever I've been around you. And my experience is that this is probably who he is everywhere, that the world is truly his family. So I want to just read to you from his bio and then say just a few last words. You know, one of the things that I was most excited by when meeting him was that this is somebody who grew up with my background. Probably growing up on McDonald's food, you know, drinking milkshakes and French fries. And yet he had such a pure nervous system and such a pure experience. And that gave me great hope that even though I grew up on McDonald's, that there was hope. Actually, you didn't mention, but I have co-authored a number of books called Chicken Soup for the Soul, Chicken Soup for the Woman's Soul, and Chicken Soup for the Mother's Soul. I've been a vegan since I was 17. And so I've actually never had chicken soup. And I've wanted them always to rename it Khichdi for the Soul or Mung Dal for the Soul. So I proposed that, but they haven't said yes yet. I'm hoping that happens. So Radhanath Swami is a bhakti yoga practitioner for more than 40 years. He is one of today's most beloved and respected spiritual teachers. He is a guide, a community builder, an activist, and an acclaimed author. Rooted in his study of ancient India's mystic devotional tradition, Radhanath Swami message is as profound as it is simple. By cultivating a rich inner life of self-awareness and a genuine practice of service, we can become instruments of compassion and agents of sustainable change in the world. He was an active participant in the civil rights movements in the late 1960s and early 1970s, and he soon discovered, however, that social transformation begins with personal change. And at the age of 19, he embarked on a remarkable quest for meaning in life. This adventure is detailed in his memoir, The Journey Home, Autobiography of an American Swami. And it took him hitchhiking across Europe and the Middle East through Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and finally to India. In India, he studied at the feet of some of the foremost spiritual teachers and yoga masters, and he eventually reached the inner sanctum of India's mystic devotional tradition. Accepting this as his path, Radhanath Swami returned to the West to share the gifts of wisdom that he has received. Today, Radhanath Swami is the founder and coordinator of multiple spiritual communities throughout the world, the most prominent of which is the Radha Gopinath Ashram located in Mumbai. Under his inspiration and guidance, the project has grown to include missionary hospitals, including an over 200-bed hospital, orphanages, eco-friendly farms, schools, temples, emergency relief programs, and a food distribution program that feeds more than 1.2 million indigent children throughout India every day. 1.2 million children every day. In spite of his many responsibilities, he also travels widely, he's teaching his Eastern philosophy and spirituality throughout Europe, Asia, and America. He's been featured as a guest speaker in universities such as Princeton, Harvard, Columbia, and Stanford, and in corporations such as Google, Intel, HSBC, and Oracle. Recently, he also spoke at the British Parliament and at the House of Lords. Perhaps you saw in the picture inviting you here, a picture with President Obama. He keeps good company. While maintaining his own rigorous practice as a Vaishnava Hindu monk, Radhanath Swami is also able to speak universal principles of spirituality that cut across the faith spectrum and transcend sectarian differences. And my experience of Swamiji is that being in his presence, I feel deeply happy. That to me is the true test of a being's awakening, is how do you feel in their presence? And I get in his presence and all I can do is smile. And what better proof is there of someone's state and ability to speak from that state than that experience? I just said to him earlier tonight, I'll have what he's having. You know, that's what I think we all are looking for in life. And it's so beautiful to experience someone who has that, who speaks so humbly, with such graciousness. And one of my books is called Happy for No Reason. But tonight, I am here happy for good reason. And is happy for the reason of being in the presence of the great Radhanath Swami. So Swamiji, thank you.
Dandasya Gyananjana Chalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशधारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। भक्त कंचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवे प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासुदेव गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Could everyone hear? It is my great honor and pleasure to be with all of you this evening. My special gratitude to Shushant and Namrita for opening the doors of their hearts and home to all of us. It's not easy to have 150 guests in your house. And yet they are completely joyful to do so. My special gratitude to Marcy. She's an angel, she's a goddess, and she's just a wonderful soul. One quality that I'm really trying to emulate that I find in her. She's so highly accomplished and she does so much, but she just loves to hear what everyone else is doing. And unless somebody comes and says what she does, you'll never know. But she was asking about what others doing, and any little thing she becomes so excited about. And this is really greatness. Humility, gratitude. And when a very highly accomplished person has humility and gratitude, it really is an attractive feature that conquers our hearts. Thank you for being just like that. And after your very gracious and benevolent introduction, I'm actually speechless. But I'm supposed to speak. Thank you all very much for being here with us this evening. Just earlier, I was wondering what to speak on. and I was speaking with Ram Pitambar, my very dear friend. And he was explaining how the most precious time of his day is for 2 or 3 hours where he just does his sadhana, his spiritual practice. Even though he's very busy, very accomplished person. And he said, we're all working for so hard for money. But the only currency that brings us closer to God and real happiness, and the only currency we can take beyond this life, is the currency of love. So I'd like to speak on that subject. Things could give some pleasure to the body and mind, but things can never give satisfaction or fulfillment to the heart. If a child, well, let me give you an example. I was just recently in Dubai because the Artha Forum dragged me there. It was an event at the 7-star hotel. And one event I had to speak at. In order to get there, I had to walk through the largest shopping mall on earth. Now, I haven't done shopping in about 50 years. I just never do shopping. It's not my dharma. If I go into a store and I have to buy something, even something like toothpaste, there's so many varieties of toothpaste. I don't know which one to get. I get really bewildered. And I just ask, can you get me some toothpaste, somebody else? But anyways, I had to walk through this shopping mall. It was a Friday night. There were thousands and thousands of people from all over the world. There was music playing, there was restaurants, there was theaters, there was all these very, very expensive stores. And there was an aquarium. Have any of you been there? It's like a 2 or 3 story aquarium. It's gigantic. And I looked up, there's a whole wall of just moving fish. And the first fishes I saw were sharks swimming around. So I was trying to get through as quickly as I could to where I was going. And then I saw something. It was really special. It was a little girl. She was either 4 or 5 years old. She had blue eyes and blonde hair. I think she was American. And she was laughing so loud. Even though there was so much noise, it was really sweet to hear her laugh. It was the only sound that really attracted me. She was laughing and laughing and laughing, and I looked and she was smiling and she was kind of dancing. She was holding one hand with her mother and one hand with her father, and they were coming up an escalator, and I just kind of stopped and watched. And when they came off the escalator, she was dancing. Her parents were trying to hold her still, and she was dancing and giggling, and she was really happy. Now, being a Swami, I'm taught to see other perspectives. So I imagined, what if in that situation, surrounded by thousands and thousands of people, she wasn't with her mother and father? What if she was all alone, surrounded by all these people and all this music and all these sounds, and looking up and seeing sharks swimming at you? She would have been completely disoriented. She would have been so miserable, so confused. Either she would be screaming, or she would just be in such trauma that she couldn't make a sound. For sure. Little girl in that environment with other parents. And then I was thinking, what's the difference between her blissfulness and that possibility of her misery? It was that she was with her parents. Now there's thousands and thousands of other people. Why wouldn't she feel that experience? Because her parents loved her. And she felt complete shelter in their love. She was fearless. But without experiencing their love, she would have been in utter fear. And that was, to me, a really beautiful lesson in life. Love makes us fearless. Love gives us shelter. Love empowers us. I was speaking today at the Bhagavad Gita conference. One of my dear friends, she was dying of cancer. She was an activist woman. She was always, if anybody was mistreating anyone, she would defend them fearlessly. She had 5 children. And here she was in her last days. They had to, when she responded to nature's call, her husband had to clean her, had to spoon feed her. She couldn't walk. And she said to her husband, "I'm not even a fraction of what I used to be. Look at me." She said, "But I'm so happy because I have so much relevance. I have so much significance in this